Driving along the expo line, and there was a crew of 20 people at different spots, and they were maintaining that beautifully.
Internal crew that maintains all of their sites.
For the future meeting, DW, and they have money.
Yeah.
Once it takes root, because they're cactus and drought tolerant, they'll last. So even though they pulled up the irrigation, it's still green.
This is all DWP right here. I've seen the signs, the City of Los Angeles, DWP. Their whole site should be water managed and dealt with in a way that's green infrastructure, and this would be a good kickoff for them.
Is all along Venice. They've done a great job of doing some of the landscaping right. If they copied exactly the same thing and put it right here, it would be a vast improvement. Is they could have an education station about sorting trash, come drop it off here, and learn about stormwater systems and sorting your trash. Come look at the stormwater drain. This is where it feeds into.
So the educational aspect of
Yeah.
I think Santa Monica does that with their big Smurf system.
If the city wants to look like Santa Monica,
We would need something that it was scheduled to come every
Naughty bird.
week.
And we have community service. There's kids getting in trouble. What are they doing? I mean, sure,
Yeah.
the DCT can get a dedicated group of kids.
We are on some type of schedule where it's the Conservation Corps.
Right now, when you call them, they'll come out. They'll actually do it.
as long as it's an active, maintained, vibrant part of the community as opposed to a vagrant hangout problem.
Like you said, this is the concern.
So this is our represented field rep from CD10.
What's been proposed so far?
A comprehensive plan that works from Genesee Park all the way down all this open space that's owned by, I assume, public agencies to deal with water going into the creek,
Trash.
public access, people walking, recreation, quality of life stuff.
I know how big the area is on, the Vision Zero and all this bike stuff. So, but then also I've heard of people wanting to do community gardens. There's plenty of room for that.
The mobility, it was the bike path.
Correct.
The bike walking path.
So we need the county at our next meeting.
Absolutely correct.
Some maintenance, because we always wind up doing it. Whenever projects come up and we're thinking about doing this, then the county takes ownership.
This is technically a street.
So this is
Which
technically
makes it
street
city.
services. Are we talking about changing jurisdiction?
Well,
How can we
Then
have
up
someone
here,
come
it's a
out
little
and
bit-
let us know exactly what's what?
we just got to get everybody on the same page.
Just in the bridgeway right here, I got them to remove it. Okay, we had two kids that actually fell, helicoptered out of here over to Cedars. So it was unsafe. The exits was here, and there was another one down over there. It's probably been about maybe 15 years that they came out. And I doubt they're going to come and put it back.
Who was they?
I believe it was the oil company.
It was a
That,
decommissioned
oil,
pipeline. It wasn't really a
oil
bridge. The
company
fence is on it.
line. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we have those on Bonner Creek. Those
Yeah.
are not
Yeah.
technically bridges. So Venice and Cochran is where we start.
We can say to the Culver City line.
If you put a package together that says there's a series of opportunities from Cochran to Genesee. I'm just throwing that out. We can go all the way if we wanted to cross the 10, which is where my territory starts. But there's a series of concepts that deal with water, contamination of the creek, which is what drives a lot of this investment. It's like keeping the MS4, keeping the city water flow, so Bureau of Sanitation, Enrique Saldivar, they'd be all into it because we're dealing with runoff, parking lots, streets, all that going into the creek. So all these would be multi-benefit. They'd have public benefit, they'd have water benefit, and certainly be quality of life benefit. Say that area and we're dealing with this much water in this area, then the investment would be there ultimately. And we're all for this one big stretch. The communities are all on board. It's going to impact how things, transportation, mobility, quality of life, all of that would be in the plan. And I don't know who's going to pay for it in terms of putting a concept together, but a concept is where you start, and then you can start becoming a part of these environmental mitigation projects. Army Corps of Engineers, they have an obligation to have a recreation benefit on top of the flood control benefit that they created around Bionda Creek. So the goal is to mirror what they're doing in the LA River, mirror what they're doing in the Bionda Creek. This is the opening of the Bionda Creek. It starts here, and I think you guys have a lot more opportunity than we have down creek because there's a lot more land that's publicly owned.
David, could you address natural cleanup where we bring the water out of the creek at times
That'd be
and
the fantasy,
actually have plans where the planting and everything cleans the water?
Bioremediation and swales. So everything that comes off this street when the storm comes rolls down here and it probably runs right down. You can just kind of see the natural progression. Either puddles or it rolls. The goal is to stop it before it gets to the creek and clean the water. We're doing that along Biona Creek, and this is just a great buffer, at least on this side for the watershed, to keep water coming out. Then the transportation part, moving up and down the alley is great. Oh, people talk about bringing water out of the creek and irrigating and reusing the water, and you have to talk to the Army Corps, and we're not doing that on LA River at all, capturing water and reusing it yet, and you got to pump it to get it back up here. But that's certainly more sustainable than irrigating and using water all the time.
What they're trying to do is ignore the storm days. Let the water go to the ocean dirty. The dry weather they're going to take care of, like the Sepulveda Channel. They're trying to get away with running the water down the creek straight to the ocean when it rains, stormwater. So I'm saying maybe we can offer an alternative and actually bring the water up and clean it up naturally. What about having a soft bottom?
That's an Army Corps of Engineers question. I would also like to recommend this particular site as an education site for stormwater.
Okay.
I think there's a nice visual of a stormwater drain coming in, watching it come out, understanding that what's on our streets just comes straight through there. And while we're moving towards trying to clean that water, right now it just goes straight into our bay. So this is technically street services for right now, and so are we talking about changing jurisdiction?
How can we have someone come out and let us know exactly what's what?
We've got to get everybody on the same page, just figure out all this. Everybody's on board.
That wouldn't be a problem.
We can leverage money from the county. There was a bridge?
And there was another one. I got them to remove it.
I know.
We had 2 kids that actually fell, helicoptered out of here over to Cedars. It was open, so it was unsafe. So they came out and actually knocked on my door and told me that they were going to be removing it.
How long ago?
This has probably been about maybe 15 years. Right. I'm not advocating closing it at all. We need to open it back up. So you could actually go all the way down here to right by Belita's house. It's a different time now, but but we had the same issue over on the Adams side. Where you could, when we were younger, we walked through. So it brings the community more together.
Number one, to look at an integrative economic model where we're looking not only at the capital improvements and how much it costs for that, and then the ongoing maintenance and operations, but what other community assets can we bring into this to leverage for the ongoing issues? Greenworks, Conservation Corps, going to have a dedicated crew that would come through periodically on a scheduled basis, and then other people to help with special needs or on an ad hoc as needed basis. Maybe also the block club and the care and protection and the enjoyment. Number 2 is there are so many overlapping stakeholders and agencies. So I'm applying the term polycentric governance. Look at things like who owns the land, who has responsibility for the land, community-based consensus building model, develop perhaps a memorandum of understanding that this is how we are going to take care of this area. This is who's responsible for what and when. That would be the polycentric governance, which includes multiple overlapping entities, including each local resident. The third category would be programmed, educational programs, community festivals, block parties, including art. The fourth one, align with other existing or in development plans, such as the mobility plan, probably a water plan being developed. There's probably a city sustainability plan. I know you've got a new resilience officer. Also the biodiversity plan, all working together and integrating across all the various initiatives. In terms of the polycentric governance, how in a humane way to attend to the issue of homeless. How can we be appropriate and empathic even as we're protecting our communities and our homes and our children? And lighting, that'd be part of capital improvement.
And I have a suggestion.
Yes.
In regard to lighting. Look across there, there's solar panels on that house.
Right.
There's a little windmill going. We could have some sustainable.
Could be a demonstration project for 100% renewable. Integrative comprehensive plan for the area. Valita was mentioning that there actually was a plan at some point for this area, so if we could pull that out.
It was between Cochran Place and Cochran Avenue. Where I am right at Cochran is where it comes above ground. It's the first point, and they were talking about putting a plaque identifying that as the first point above ground, and they were talking about putting a bird sanctuary. For the years, there have been ideas that have been agreed upon as a consensus,